Welcome back to XboxCorner, my name's Luke, and I'm back once again bringing you this week's Game Pass update, which wouldn't you know it is quite a big one, as Microsoft have just gone and dropped a shit ton of titles, and while we only have a couple of new releases, there's still some pretty sweet ones in the mix. With that said then, we've got a lot to cover today, so let's not waste any more time. Subscribe to stay up to date with our latest deals, reviews and Game Pass news, and let's get started. So first up we have a couple of updates for existing Game Pass games, the first being a Battlefield 4 update which adds cloud functionality to the game, and the second update sees the third person looter shooter Outriders being added to Game Pass for PC's lineup. Now if you haven't yet played this one, it's basically a cooperative sci-fi shooter with cross-platform support, and you can kind of think of it as the love child of Destiny and Gears of War. Unfortunately, Outriders did come under a lot of fire on release, with some criticising its lack of originality and connectivity issues, but if you're a PC gamer who's been wanting to give the game a go, then this may be the perfect opportunity. Up next then we have the awesome Dragon Ball Fighterz, a 2.5D fighting game which is undoubtedly one of the best on the market, based around the legendary anime series. Now this one sees you putting together a team of 3 from a roster of 21 playable characters, which includes series favourites such as Gohan, Goku, Frieza and Trunks, before going head to head against an opponent in a variety of 3v3 battles. As with the TV series, you can expect hyper fast over the top action from these fights, and the game's visuals are absolutely stunning and a real testimony to how far we've come since the days of Tekken and Virtua Fighter. Our third title today is a PC-only game preview of Everspace 2, a fast-paced single-player space shooter which is definitely one for all you sci-fi lovers out there. Diverting from the roguelike formula of the first game, Everspace 2 promises to offer a thoughtful sci-fi story set in a vivid handcrafted open world, which includes worthwhile exploration in both space and planet side, RPG elements, mining, crafting, and of course tons of loot. The game is shaping up to be pretty solid though, with over 2,000 positive reviews for the Steam Early Access version, and if you ever played the legendary space shooter that was Freelancer, then Everspace 2 looks set to be its spiritual successor. So our first day one release on this list is Moonglow Bay, and this wonderful little voxel adventure game has all the hallmarks of a Stardew Valley game, but it takes what's usually a minor gameplay mechanic, that being the fishing, and instead builds a whole game around it. Set in a remote fishing town whose villagers are afraid to fish due to supposed monsters living in the water, you play as a rookie angler determined to rebuild the fractured community and show them that there's nothing to be afraid of. Armed with your trusty fishing rod and a journal left to you by your deceased partner, you'll be heading out on the water either solo or with a co-op partner, catching fish to cook, sell or donate to the local aquarium, and working towards restoring the town to its former glory. The game promises an emotionally charged story as well as a fun and relaxing time, and it's set to release on the 26th of October. So the big dog on today's list, at least for the PC gamers amongst you, is Age of Empires 4, and if you're not familiar with this series, alongside the likes of Command & Conquer, StarCraft and Warcraft, in the 90s, Age of Empire redefined the real-time strategy genre. Now the game places you at the centre of historic battles, giving you a choice of 8 different civilisations to select from, and tasking you with building cities, managing resources, and leading your troops into battle on both land and at sea. Its story mode features 4 distinct campaigns and 35 missions spanning 500 years of history, and you'll be following in the footsteps of historical figures such as Genghis Khan and Joan of Arc, reshaping history as you go, but it's no doubt the online competitive and cooperative game modes which most people would be looking forward to, and these allow you to play with up to 7 other players, working with or against them to attain victory. This one though no doubt has a lot of people excited, and while it's currently only releasing on PC only, the developers have not yet ruled out a console release of the game. So we're halfway through today's roundup, and next up we have another day one fish related title in the form of Bassmaster Fishing 2022, and in nearly 3 decades of gaming I've played 1 or 2 fishing simulators, and I have to admit that they can be surprisingly addictive. Now, this latest entry in the Bassmaster Fishing series offers a career mode which sees you working your way from the Amateur College Series tournaments right the way up to the coveted Bassmaster Classic, which is basically the Super Bowl of the fishing world where you get to compete against the legends of the sport. There looks to be a ton of different mechanics at play with this one though, including a day-night cycle, tons of different tackles and lures, and of course some sweet boats. And you're going to have to master all of these, especially if you want to compete with other online players to become Bassmaster Champion. Next up we have Alan Wake's New Nightmare, a classic Xbox 360 title where our main man Alan has to fight to stop his murderous evil doppelganger from ruining his life. Now, if you've played the original game, then this spin-off title puts more of a focus on the combat elements of the first game, and it also features a wider variety of weapons. In addition to the story mode, there's also an arcade mode in the game which sees you trying to survive until sunrise against wave after wave of enemies, and if you've enjoyed playing through the recently released Alan Wake Remastered, then you'll no doubt have a blast playing this one. Backbone is the name of our next title, and this is a post-noir narrative adventure game which sees you playing as private detective Howard Lauter, who also happens to be a raccoon. Now, the game takes place in a dystopian Vancouver inhabited by animals, and while the game's listing gives very little away about its story, which is described as being deeply personal and about change and transformation, what I can say is that the pixel art in Backbone looks absolutely amazing. This one appears to be all about that story though, with plenty of dialogue to read, multiple endings and beautiful environments to explore, and if you're looking for a change of pace, then Backbone may be well worth putting some time into. Our penultimate game today is Nongunz Doppelganger Edition, and this is a dark roguelike action platformer which sees you battling grotesque abominations and chaining together kills to earn souls and upgrade your character's weapons and items. Now, I reviewed Nongunz on the Nintendo Switch earlier in the year, and it's definitely up there when it comes to the difficulty factor, but it has some unique mechanics which keep things interesting, and these include a bunch of different weapons to choose from, swappable heads which grant different abilities, and a card-based system which allows you to consume items to heal your character. The game's control scheme can take a little bit of getting used to, and it's not the easiest game in the world, but if you've played and enjoyed the Goner games, then you'll no doubt have a blast with this one. So rounding off today's list is The Forgotten City, a narrative-driven time loop adventure game set in ancient Rome, which actually began its life as a Skyrim mod before becoming a fully fledged title. Now, from what I can gather, this one is essentially a mystery game, and it sees you travelling 2,000 years into the past and attempting to discover who was behind the destruction of a cursed Roman city. Exploiting the game's time loop mechanics, you'll be questioning the city's population and gaining information through various means, not excluding bribery, intimidation or even murder, but your choices and actions have life and death consequences, leading to multiple different endings to the game, and I must say that I myself am pretty intrigued by this one. And so that just about does it for this week's roundup of Game Pass titles, so let me know in the comments section below if any of them caught your eye. We're nearing the holiday season now, so the next couple of months already has some big titles lined up for us, including Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest Game Pass news, as well as the best digital deals and honest reviews of some of the latest Xbox titles. For now though, I just want to thank you all once again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks everyone, take care.